Welcome to the voicemail of Crest podcast. We're currently taking a week off, but if you have urgent, groundbreaking surf news, please leave us a message and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Where's my f***ing Crest episode, Anderson?
It's happened for the first time in nearly 2 years, and of course there had to be an emergency episode of Crest in partnership with Elusive.
Welcome to our Welsh National Special. Besides an exclusive interview with the new Open men's champion Logan Nicol, we'll break down the rest of the results and hear from a grommet who picked up an unlikely title herself.
So the warmest welcome then to Logan. You've been on Crest in partnership with Elusive a few times already, but this time it's got to be in the best possible circumstances, hasn't it?
Definitely. It's buzzing to be here. Thank you for having me on.
So Pura Vida, my post Welsh National Champion 2021. Has it sunk in yet?
It's got a good ring to it, hasn't it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
For you it has, for everyone else it hasn't.
No, it hasn't really sunk in, to be honest. Like, the more I've had a lot of people come up to me that, like, you know, I don't really talk to that much, saying congratulations and stuff. So the support's been overwhelming, to be fair. But I think it's going to take a bit of time to really sink in.
So let's be realistic about this now, then, right? Going into the comp, how likely did you think it was going to be that you'd be sitting here having this conversation as the champion?
Pretty unlikely. I was pretty down before I went in. I went into it kind of injured, and my goal was just to be top three because I wanted to.
Get to the British.
Get to the British. That was my goal. So I just thought I felt like I could make the final injured. So that was my main goal. And then it was just every heat was like a bonus, that I was making.
You were keeping on going.
Yeah, and I ended up winning. So.
I mean, the Board Masters earlier in the year, though, where you got to the semi to that must have been a pretty good sort of sign that you had you could take people down. You took down Stan Norman in pretty chunky surf.
Yeah, that was huge. I don't know, not motivator, but giving me a lot of belief in myself.
Yeah.
I already had that belief, but I kind of proved it that I am good enough to beat those guys, and my hard work is paying off. So
you've come second in the Welsh before. It was to Jay Quinn, who is New Zealand born and raised. So I always maintained that you were. He was Wales's number one that year, but you were the Welsh number one. Realistically, though, you were probably kind of half expecting that it would be your mate PLD that would take it down, and with Patrick Langdon Dark. But he's come second. Tell us about that final then. How did the final? Looking at the scores, I can see that you picked off two big scores early on. Yeah,
so the whole final day, they run us 3 heats on the Saturday, and the whole final day, we were scheduled to be last heat. And the conditions were just getting worse and worse throughout the day. It was literally, I was in my car, I had steam coming out my ears. I was so angry they hadn't run us. They just wanted us to be the last heat. And we went down, because it was going to be high tide, shore break. Pat was just going to race along, do 2 airs, and I was like, oh, great, I've got a bad knee, I can, it's hurting to do turns.
How are you going to make a point of difference against that?
Exactly. But then for the final, wind dropped. It sort of started, there's a few corners coming in, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll have a chance here. And we went out, and I just managed to, I had a good feeling. I don't know if you ever had it, I just had this really good feeling, oh, I think I'm going to do alright here.
Yeah.
And I paddled out, and just before the heat, that weird limbo mode when you're between the hooters sounding.
Yeah.
I could just feel waves coming to me, and I thought, oh, right, this is on. And I just managed to get a few corners. Managed to do 3 turns on a few waves. And I thought, oh, they've got to be scores.
But they weren't calling scores out.
No, I couldn't hear. Barely hear the hooter.
So we're joined here in the Crest in partnership with Elusive Studio. Rhino is with us, but we have also got with us somebody who was present at the Welsh. Chris Fowler is sitting with us as well. I still love the fact that there was a surfer at the Welsh who had Brad Gerlach as his coach. I just think that's amazing. And so Chris was there. You can see Chris on the Instagram picture from the Masters, where the yellow Pura Vida top has sat really nicely against his pecs, and he does actually look a bit like a Chris Hemsworth type Thor superhero. In fact, he looks like that now. It's a very good look in studio today, actually. But Chris, you were on the beach, you were watching. What were your thoughts watching that final?
Well, my immediate thoughts now is that Logan's being extremely modest about his 3 turns. fantastic waves, the pair of them, and the first one that he had, we all looked at each other because we were all watching. It was a full crowd on the beach, and we all looked at each other and said, right, that's just knocked things up the score. It was clearly a good wave. Flow was superb, and it was like whack, 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 but it was just 3 turns linked together, really well surfed, and we all sort of said, right, that's a high standard gone in there. Pat answered back with a couple. I think he came back round, and then Logan had a very similar left again, didn't you? And we all just sort of agreed that it was just really fluid. It was really well put together, and we were all sort of saying it looks exactly like when you see a real high level pro surfing. It's just that sort of
great.
Yeah, it's just really, really, really professional surfing. It was really good to watch.
Yeah, fab.
Cheers, mate.
And then of course we've got 4 times Welsh champion Rhino Thomas in the room with us. So this is the point now where the sort of the 4 times champ sort of now passes on his words of encouragement to you, or words of congratulations.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. The expectation, I think, was for many people around Porthcawl who see you here surfing at Restby all the time. We thought, like, the time has got to be now. It's got to be there. And I mean, massive congratulations to you. It's certainly massively deserved. So what do you reckon? Is this going to be one of many, or what's your thought process on that?
Well, I'm not looking to stop, but I mean, fingers crossed. Like, I'd definitely like to win more, but also like I'd like to then take this momentum on to like the British and like do as good as I can, after the nationals too. But multiple national titles would be pretty mental, wouldn't it?
Yeah, to get in the British team.
It's not just a fluke, like, it'd be cool to do it a couple of times.
Absolutely. And this is your first big contest win?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I've had like seconds and stuff before, but in the Open, this is my kind of biggest like Open win. I think, one of my only ones. So yeah, it definitely means a lot, and it hasn't sunk in.
It hasn't sunk
Maybe
in.
It is now, but yeah, it hasn't, not quite yet.
Now, producer Dodd did want to jump into one of these seats, but I can see now that it's such a good-looking studio. Maybe he's going to bellow it out from behind the mics. He wanted to ask you about the role that the wave had played in your training, you were down there quite shortly before the weather. There was a big long flat spell.
Yeah.
Is that the question, right, Dodd?
Pretty much, but
He's going to lean over to get himself into the monitor position. Yeah. It's a very rare year, but you really, really pulled something historic off, Logan, when producer Dodd lets his voice come on live on the mic.
It's the Logan effect. It just pulls people in.
Yeah, Logan was actually saying about his injury.
Injury?
I actually saw him get that injury because I was taking photographs of him at the time.
Oh, it was at the wave, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
No,
So you went down the wave to beat the flat spell and picked up an injury?
Yeah, it was flat, and my boss, literally, like, massive thanks to him. He sorted me out with some coaching with a coach from Devon. So
let's name him then.
Well, the coach or my boss?
The boss.
Hugh Murray from Porthcawl Surf School, legend. Yeah, thank you so much for all your support. But yeah, he went to do some coaching. Paid for my sessions. Like, we had three hours booked. First wave in the wave after like loads of real long flat spell. I just tried an air, and I was told to go in and warm up and not do any airs. And I tried an air straight away. Hurt my knee really badly. I managed to get through the sessions, and then the next day I literally couldn't walk. My knee was so stiff. And I thought, oh no, the Welsh is in 2 weeks. That wasn't good. So yeah, that's the role it played.
Was the first one the hardest, Rhines?
I think it possibly was, and I think I was talking to Logan about this week. There's perhaps a formula that you get accustomed to over time, I think. I think perhaps I won 3, and then I'd won the 3rd, and I missed a year, and I don't think I entered, and then I wanted to win one more, and I think that was the most difficult one for me to get my head into it, because in my mind I was like, I've got older, maybe I'm past it, and but so yes, I think it probably was my most difficult one, the 4th one, but
right, okay,
yeah.
So the 2nd or 3rd is the easiest once you've done it once.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think if you get it, you just like Logan was saying this week when we were chatting, you kind of feel confident. There's something you feel. You're like, I'm on it, and I really feel is that the waves are going to come to me today, and I think as long as you felt confident enough to do it, and you believe in yourself, then that's 90% of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Just have like a winning feeling almost, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like weird feeling, but it's a good one. Yeah.
So you're going to stick around with us as we go through the results then, yeah? So and so Chris Fowler too, I think, has seen pretty much all of these heats and is about to be getting an honourable mention as well as one of the competitors. We're going to start with the other big one though, and earlier I caught up with Women's Open champ Crest in partnership with Elusive's own Emily Williams, and here is what she had to say.
Right, in a change to what we thought we were going to do, it's actually producer Dodd here, not Tom. I'm here with Emily. So congratulations, Ems. This is title number 7, tied with Joe Dennison, I believe.
Hi, thanks very much. Yes, it is title number 7 and tied with Joe.
Yeah, so I imagine you didn't think you were going to be getting 7. I imagine your original goal was just to win a single Welsh, wasn't it?
Yeah, when I was younger, I set a goal at a training session with Lloyd. He said, write down what you want to achieve. And I always just wrote, I just want to win the Welsh. And now I've won it 7 times. So it's pretty crazy. Awesome,
man. That's brilliant. Yeah. So did you have like a time when you thought this seemed like the most difficult one to win? Or was this, it's you've been off for a while, haven't you? So.
Yeah, it's something that maybe I took a few years out and maybe thought I might not go back to competing. So didn't really expect the 7th, but got back into it, want to compete again. So I thought it was something I wanted to try and get, but I wasn't sure if I would actually get it. So to get it, it feels pretty special to actually win it. And so I've got 7 now. So yeah.
Yeah. So given that Joe's got 7, are you looking for 8 next year then?
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. What did you think of the weekend as a whole? Good weekend?
Yeah, it was great fun. It was great to see how many juniors are coming up now. I think there were more girls entering than boys, which is just great to see.
I noticed that.
The future looks strong.
I wasn't there. I'm looking at the I wasn't there on the day, but looking at the heat sheets, it was like I couldn't believe load of heats, a quarter-final, a semi-final, and a final for like the under 16 girls, wasn't it? It was amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome, and they're all so young. They're all around the same age. And they've come from a few different clubs. So I think they're really going to push each other now in the next few years. And it's really exciting to see how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm actually looking forward to getting down there and seeing if they stick at it. Because I don't know, when you were at Grom, was there quite a lot of heats and then they kind of gradually fell away a bit as you got a bit older? Or
Yeah, definitely. I think we used to have quarters, semis and finals, but we only have ever had under 18 girls. So I think that sometimes puts some girls off because if you're 13, you don't really want to be surfing against someone who is 18. Mm-hmm. So we only ever had under 18s. We didn't have that under 16 option, but we always had quarter, semis and finals. And a lot of those girls now that I compete against when I was younger don't compete anymore. I think they all still surf, just not competing.
But that's a shame.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see if these girls keep going. Like you say, it'd be pretty exciting.
Yeah. So did you have like a highlight of the event?
I helped out a bit with the judging for the juniors, and I think that was really exciting. I really enjoyed that. To actually watch and judge was pretty exciting. I think for me is that next generation, because there's not been juniors for so long. And, for the women's, we only still had a straight final. There were 5 entrants, but it was still straight finals. So it was really nice to see that in a few years we're going to have a lot more girls and women competing. I mean, we have Ruby Lewis in the women's final, and she's really young, bless her, but she gave it a good go. And I think just actually getting to surf with that next generation as well, being in the water, the Groms were everywhere. I almost couldn't catch a wave, but it was just so nice to be there with all those kids and see that is the future. And just be able to judge them and stuff. So that was great for me.
Yeah, I can't actually remember off the top of my head. You mentioned Ruby Lewis there. So is she in the under 16s or the under 18s?
She did the under 16s, under 18s, and women's divisions.
Wow! So she went.
Yeah, she surfed a lot of heats, bless her.
Yeah, so she's obviously gonna really stick at it then, if she and hopefully maybe replace you one day as the top lady.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool for them to do that, definitely.
Cool. So moving on then, have you got any plans for the winter coming up?
Still just finishing my masters, working. I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to get away for a little surf trip, but we'll see how things pan out. But that's the plan.
Great. Awesome. Cheers, Ems. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Thanks.
Yep, she was absolutely ripping. And I know you love a stat, Tom, so I had a look, and I found out that she had the joint highest wave score of 8 points, along with Pat Langdon Dark. So phenomenal surfing.
So an 8-point ride in
it was
that,
a superb wave.
And I saw that it was Georgina Lutus who came second in that one, and she posted a pretty solid score as well.
Yeah, there's great surfing from every girls' heat I watched. It was a really good standard all weekend.
So Emily's taken that on now to 7 titles. That is pretty dominant, really, for our times, isn't it? Is it?
Is she the Welsh goat? Anyone?
Well, Rhino and I found this out earlier in the year, didn't we? That in modern times now, I think that's equal Joe Dennison, but Linda Sharp.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yes, we were trying to work this out. We thought it was it 20 or was it 21? Or I think we got 24 in my head.
We might even have to look into that and have a quick. It is
on our episode, isn't it?
I think
but
it
was
is. Yeah.
Like we actually lost count during the and there's swimming titles thrown in and things like that.
Well, that's not all women's open surfing titles, then.
No,
That's a
no,
mixture of
exactly.
all
Yeah,
sorts
no.
of
So in
things.
terms of women's open titles, I mean, really, in the modern age, for Emily to have done
a little
that.
bit like the way that Reg Bowen would count his titles.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. In the modern
Love you, Greg.
something that was interesting in that event. Huge participation. We'll talk about it again a little bit later in the junior girls events, the junior girls and the under 16 girls. So
First thing I noticed, I looked at the heat sheets, and there was six heats of 3 girls, so it was 18 contestants.
Yeah.
And as someone who's gone down the Welsh over the years, I remember going down and there'd be straight finals, or there'd be between 2 people, or you'd mix age groups. So the first thing that stood out on the heat sheets was there was just a huge influx of females, and that was superb. And like I said, the standard was fantastic all weekend. It wasn't just taking part; they're actually competing. It was really good to watch.
And Emily also has been preparing down at the Wave, so that's really contributed. She's been able to go through that flat spell on a day-to-day basis, and it's shown. Let's move on and have a little chat about the Masters, though, and this is where we've got the star in the room, the main one. And this one, now, we finished our last episode of the show with Vaughan and Greg promising to renew hostilities with each other. And who'd have known that they would have both get to the Masters final together? And, drum roll, Greg on this occasion got the better of Vaughan, finishing second. But what is interesting here is that sandwiched in between the pair of them is the fella sat next to me, Chris Fowler. You were in a final of the Welsh again.
That's right, yeah, you say again, the last one was the cadets in 1990. So,
No way. So how does it feel now?
look out for me in 2052.
So you stoked on that?
I was stoked. I've had a running nightmare with the Welsh. I've always hated the contest because I'd go down, I'd get through heats or do well in other things sometimes around the place, but the Welsh was always turn up, straight out, home you go. That's always been my experience. So yeah, it was just nice to make that first heat. Was just a personal victory for me.
Yeah, and I mean, it says here you were left needing a 6.8 to be Welsh national champion. I mean,
I was left in that final, sat outside waiting for a set, and I felt if it comes, it comes and I'll be alright, because I knew no one else was doing anything. But I just sat looking out at the flat sea and thought, John, my last thought of that final was, this must be horrific to do for a living. That's the last thing I thought. I was looking outside and I thought, this is your salary, or this is world tour points. This just must be horrific. But for me, it didn't matter. But thank you.
And that is what Logan wants to do for his living.
No, it must be really strange how you learn to deal with that.
I think one of the things that's really interesting about it is that they lose, they roll on, and they've got to sort of compete again a week.
Well, I think
later.
that's the thing. You roll on, and then you can just make it one experience of 50 in a year, I guess, rather than one every sort of 20 years.
And then the Masters, of course, though, the big story in the Masters was the legend of Nathan Phillips, Weapon, as they call him down in Llantrick, coming back up to do a Welsh and taking out that's his first title, I think, since the Open in '99, which would have been sandwiched in between yours and Greg's titles.
Yes,
it is. Yeah. And I knew you would never get this out of Nath himself, because anyone who knows Nath, he's a man of few words, which is why I'm here to say, he actually ripped that event. And everyone was just so chuffed, because he obviously broke his foot, knackered his knee in January, couldn't surf again until April. He went through all the slog, all the rehab, and he texted us saying, I've entered the Welsh. And we all said, nice one, Nate, don't do anything too soon. And he turned up, he does what he only does, he ripped the whole time. You know, he
was in the
deserved to
final
win.
of the Open with Logan.
Yeah, he got to the final and he got in the top 3, which means he's into. He qualifies 16 on. So it was a hugely successful weekend.
So yeah, he'll go to the British, which is going to be in Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Welsh one. Yeah.
So yeah, I think he was chuffed. He was tired. He did a lot of surfing. He was stinking of CBD oil. He was just rubbing himself down every 20 minutes. But no, he got through it, and it was superb to watch. It was really good.
Vaughan had a bit of a mare in that final, then, by the looks of things.
Well, he felt the pressure. You can see.
We'll have a look at the longboard, and Evan Rogers taking one down there, Rafe Gaskell in second, we got Josh Hockett coming third, and then Aaron Bright in fourth. And the ladies longboard, and Georgina Lutus having come second in the ladies, picked up a Welsh title anyway, so the ladies kind of had a happy ending in the end anyway then, didn't it? Fiona Campbell third, Ellen Jones fourth, and the recently married Marie-Claire, she's down as Stewart, I don't know if she goes by Dudley anymore. She was in fourth place. So pretty good standard in the longboards. You catch many of those heats, Chris?
I watched some. I'm not going to embarrass myself for trying to say understand much of longboarding, other than it looked tough.
It's hard.
There's some waves that are longboardable waves,
and
those conditions did look tough. And I see a lot of Josh Hawkins surfing around Gower, and I watched him, and I know he would have preferred different conditions. You could tell, but for all of them, it did look like hard work. So, yeah,
awesome.
And so we move on to the junior categories and a chance to look at some of the future prospects that were ripping it up on the weekend. But before we look at all the junior results in detail, we've got another special guest about to join us. One of the surprise results in the weekend was the crowing.
Oh, I spelled it wrong.
Thanks, Tom. I assume that's croning.
I've spelled it wrong.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
That's amazing. I think Dodd's saying you're just going to leave that in. I think we're going to carry on.
I'll just
this was an emergency show. We're racing to try and get out ahead of Vaughan's write-up.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. One of the surprise results on the weekend was the crowning of 14-year-old Anna Rose Merchant, who is the newly minted junior girls longboard champion. We say surprise, but not in the sense that anyone expected Anna Rose not to win. What captured our attention about this result was her shift from being one of the UK's top up-and-coming triathletes to cross-stepping her father's bright red McTavish to a Welsh title. Does one sport complement the other, or is it just the case that fierce competitors do all right in whatever they try their hand at? Anyway, let's put it to her, because I'd like to welcome Anna Rose Merchant to Crest in partnership with Elusive. How's things going, Anna Rose? Has it settled in yet? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Well, I'm still very surprised about the weekend. I was not expecting what actually happened, because I have had practically no practice on the longboard at all. It was mental just to see how good people there are, and just people like me and just do the same things, and it's so cool. And the competition was just not like any other ones that I've done. They just running competitions and swimming competitions are so strict in things that they do. So they always follow a program. They're warm-up time is this, race time is this, but surf competitions, you can just do whatever you want and just chill out all day. So cool.
And so is it now still the case then that Anna Rose, that having now picked up a really big win in surfing, are you still going to be aiming your goals are more in that triathlon direction, or are you tempted now?
Well, it is tempting me quite a lot, since as that is such a big achievement. But I will still be doing the triathlon and lifeguards and things like that, because I enjoy doing them so much. So I could never pick which one I wanted to do. It's so much fun. And obviously I want to keep surfing. It's so cool.
And the story of how you ended up longboarding is pretty cool, really, isn't it? Because you were a pretty dangerous prospect on the shortboard when you were a real little grom, and then of course the demands of a lot of that triathlon training that you were doing once you started showing real promise there meant that you were perhaps not surfing as regularly on a shortboard, and you obviously a lot of the time you were having to sort of rest things up because you'd been on some mental bike ride or a big run or something. And then how you came to end up riding the longboard it was sort of an accident, wasn't it? It was to do with your dad getting a bit long in the tooth, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was too old and lazy to ride a shortboard anymore, so he got himself a longboard, and I saw that once, and I stole it off him. Basically, he hasn't had it back since. He rode it once, and it's mine now. He's never having it back.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Anna Rose. And you're gonna stay there now. If you've got any comments to throw in as we talk about the rest of the juniors, you can pundit that with us a bit. And we're going to be joined by another junior winner here. We've got the winner of the men's longboard, junior men's longboard, Blake Jones, because you're only just around the corner from us, aren't you, Blake? Producer Dodd said he saw you when he went out to get milk, and he just went, "Oh, get in here, you're coming on Crest in partnership with us."
Yes, thanks a lot for having me.
Congratulations, Blake.
The last minute call was definitely worth coming down here. Dad didn't even let me have a shower before coming down. He was booting me out the door.
Was he?
Tom Anson's calling you for your Crest podcast, and up the street I came, and it's only 60 doors away.
So looking at these junior results, right, we've got to start obviously by looking at the rest of the people in these events here, right? So I'm looking at the under 18 longboard. You've seen off Seth Reed, and let me just get the right side of the page. Arthur Buick in that one then. So how are those guys doing?
Well, Arthur, he barely ever touches a longboard, and alongside his brother, the Buick brothers, they're very accomplished on their shortboards. I think is Arthur's brother won the under 18s.
Oh, right, okay. Let's have a look at this. I got it all written in front of me somewhere. Yeah, under 18 shortboard. Where's that one gone?
They entered about 20 categories each, didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't see him stop, those boys.
That's what I'm getting confused. He's on every
He's
page.
literally on every page.
Page.
And they're just smiling all weekend.
I think one of the...
Well, the under 18s was taken down by Eli, wasn't it? Eli Perrins Davis.
Yeah.
And of course, he was shredding the whole time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He really has been.
I just being next to him on the podium on the under 16 shortboard was a pleasure, because normally I'm knocked out by the quarterfinals, and just being able to stand next to him in a final, it was a good feeling seeing him rip.
And it's just looking at those under 18 boys, that's a good place for us to go next. There's a Ewan Buick in fourth place in that one, but Eli with a pretty good, decent score there. Yeah, so very confident. Under 18 girls then, and we had an interference in this one, and Josie Hawke taking it out. Do you see Josie surfing at all, Blake? Or Anna Rose, did either of you see her?
Josie is she's a really frothing grom. She's about 4 foot tall.
She is amazing,
and
she's so good.
she was surfing waves at 3 times the height, and it was about 2 foot that day. So it was she's a really good surfer, and she's all for it. She was while we were free surfing, I was paddling for a wave, and I'd look on my inside, and she'd be charging down the line.
Amazing.
She didn't let any of us.
And I can see that the scores that was real close between her and Poppy Owen, but there was an interference, so that's obviously a lesson for Poppy Owen to go with there. Eli Perrins Davis taking down the under 16 boys as well.
Yes, yeah, he's untouchable at the moment. He's a really brilliant surfer.
And how long before he starts to show up then in the open events, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I give it a couple more years when he grows a few more inches, and all he needs is the strength, and he's there. He's already got the technique. And
he was pretty. He made the semi-finals. Pipped Harry, Cromwell, and Nathan in his quarterfinals.
Yeah,
he is there. He's level so good. And what is he? 14.
Again, shredding at Boardmasters earlier
I think
in the
he's
summer.
one of the stories of the event. Eli, for me personally, just amazing, ripping. He's inspiring. Eli. So yeah, and obviously you as well. Shredding too, mate.
Oh, thank you.
So talk about Eli for a moment here now. That's one of the things Eli now, he's got all the sponsors in place. It's a sort of, he's at that kind of age now where it's sort of, there is a lot of talk and a lot of hype. Should he be listening to us now, or should he be sort of, hiding away and just concentrating on his surfing at that age? Perhaps I'm going to ask you about that, Anna Rose. How do you deal with sort of hype and parents talking about you and all that kind of stuff when you're coming onto that sort of elite level in sports at your sorts of ages?
Well, to be honest, I just follow the training plan, and if anything comes up, I just focus on what I'm meant to be doing, rather than if some training or something's coming in the way, I just focus on my plan. And if I have free time, I do surfing when I can and triathlon when my training plan is in place, and just things like that.
Yeah, awesome. Now, do you know the one thing I've noticed that's in common with all of you guys, and that's really interesting, if I bring Rhino in as well to talk about this. Anna Rose, Blake, we were talking about Eli just then, right? All of these, the best juniors, they've all got quite good relationships with parents. Like, I've never seen you, you know, with like the whole sort of, oh, get out my face, Dad, you know, none of that. Same with Logan. Anna Rose, you know, maybe you're at 14, it could still happen, you know, but you guys are all sort of quite, and Eli's the same, you know, really very respectful, and like the sort of listening to your parents, you know. And I know, I'm thinking of other Groms I've known in the day, you know, and like the parents would say to me like, oh, will you tell them, because they'll listen to anyone but me. But you guys, is that something that you think is important?
Well,
he's going to deny it now. Because just before you answer that, the reason I bring in Rhino in there, right, is that one of the things Rhino was saying that's quite interesting is you're coming from a family, Rhino, as a grommet surfer, where there's no tradition for surfing. You're the first in your generation. So in your case, your dad was like super supportive, but not able to specifically talk about surfing as a sport and the nuts and bolts of it.
I think that's right. I think for me there was no bloodline. It was nothing. But what it was for me, living at the coast, was there was a hotbed of talent here. So it was perhaps slightly different from in Logan's case, where you're not on the coast. But I was going to ask you that actually. I said, like, how do you feel the pressure? Just sort of stepping back a little bit, actually, because you must have a huge amount of pressure on your shoulders and an expectation from people. I mean, like when I you know, with your Instagram and I see you training massively, and so you're really committed to the cause. But how much pressure do you actually feel?
I don't know. It's been really nice for me, like growing up, because I know, like, it's funny now. I work in Porthcawl. I see like the like soccer mums and dads that bring their kids down. And I never had that. Like, I was just frothing to go to the beach. Like, that's the only I just love surfing. It would have been easier for my parents if I didn't like surfing, because like, just stay in Penarth, you know. Right, they didn't have to drive me an hour down the motorway. So yeah, I didn't feel that much pressure. I go into my little bubble. No one surfs. Everyone picks on me for surfing, you know. So it was like really easy for me. But yeah, on to the parents thing. Like, I just got so much gratitude. That was my main motivator the whole weekend, was like just to like thank them on the podium. That was my main thing I wanted to do, just because like literally I wouldn't be surfing without them. So yeah, like crazy how much. And as I get older now, I just see how much they've done for me. I think every kid, if you don't understand how much your parents do for you, it's ridiculous, you know. So yeah,
Blake, you were about to defy that, weren't you? And say that Nige cramps your style and you're ready to move out and all that, weren't you?
Well, everything Logan says, that goes to me as well. Me and my dad, our main bond is surfing. Our father-son coach and surfer bond is
Coach Nigel.
Coach Nigel, yeah, he's always on the. Ever since he hurt his back and he's not able to surf as much as he used to. He's always on the beach. He's revising every night, and he's got his qualifications. And I wouldn't be where I am now as a Welsh champion if it wasn't for him. He's
amazing.
He is my coach and he's my dad. But it's definitely in the house we have our tussles, and maybe we disagree with a certain technique in surfing here and there. But if it wasn't for my dad and the way he coaches me, I wouldn't be.
It's better to be disagreeing over like a bit of technique than, you know, over whose turn it is to do the washing up.
Well, that also happens there. Yeah.
Anna Rose, she was late because she was catching up on her chores, isn't that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Any words of advice then for kids, you know, in terms of like, you know, your parents, the support, if you get on well with them, don't you?
Yeah, it's just I sort of got myself into it. Like, my parents like wanted me to do it from a really young age, and obviously I did. I went in the water a lot, but it's only like the past year I've started surfing because it's been something that I want to do. So for people my age, it's like do what you want to do, even if like you can't get there or something. Just find a way to just do it. Obviously, my parents are like really supportive with everything I do. Like, they take me to Cardiff like 4 times a week, and races in
Wow.
like halfway up the country. But I live by the beach, and it's something that I want to do, so I just do it whenever I want.
Great, thanks very much, Anna Rose. Right, now we've traded we've traded Blake up now for Chris Fowler. He's back in the seat. Just looking at that weekend of the Welsh overall then, Chris, if you sort of had one takeaway from it, one thing you learned about Welsh surfing?
I think my takeaway, you mentioned him then, Eli. I think obviously Logan's Logan and Pat's Pat, but Eli, I think for me, was so impressive. Every time I glanced out to the sea, I just saw him smashing something, throwing his tail, sending his rail in, just surfing so well. And you mentioned the Open, he was 0.2 of a point from getting into the Open final.
Really?
So that would have been under 16s, under 18s and a crack at the Open final. And what is he, 15 years old?
Mental, yeah.
And it's not so much how good he is now, it's how good he's got, I think, over the last 12 months. And I think if I mention in junior surfing, Ollie Evans from Swansea as well, from Langland, absolutely shredded all weekend. And I think, again, there was 0.2 points between them in the final, in the under 18. So I think the standard of the junior surfing was fantastic, and I think that was the real takeaway for me. I just thought, in a couple of years, once the sort of Pat, Logan, Nathan, that kind of standards rubbing off on the youngsters, you'll be sitting down that for a whole weekend watching just a phenomenal standard of surfing. It'd be great.
Yeah, I'm seeing there Ollie Evans, 0.28 behind.
Yeah, I reckon he hasn't slept since. But no, it was that close, and I think that's what you want in a final, isn't it? And the same as the Open final.
Yeah.
I think everyone just rips so much, it gets to a bit of a flip of a coin and fine margins, isn't it? Because that's what happens with good surfing. But
yeah, amazing. Yeah, well, thanks to a room full of surf talent. Thanks, Logan, and we're so stoked for you. So we'll see you for a life story episode. Once you've made the WC team, then been in the movies, and then retired,
and learn to give speeches.
I like my speech.
I think he's got a while to go yet, Rhino.
This one?
Yeah.
I think possibly not.
So is it the goals from here, Logan? QS?
Yeah, just get better at surfing and like just take it as literally. I work as hard as I can, and like push it as hard as I can. So wherever I end up, I think I'll be happy as long as I know I've given it my all. That's my goal.
Great. So that completes this roundup. Special until next year. Well, for the Welsh Nationals at least. We remain on track for the return of our main episodes as scheduled. Hawaiian big wave legend Buzzy Kerbox will be on your platform of choice on Monday the 4th of October. Access it via Spotify, Google, YouTube, Apple, or any other RSS-fed podcast app. Whatever your method, do hit subscribe and do leave a review. If you have any ideas for us, please do get in touch via castcrest@gmail.com or via our regularly updated Instagram or Twitter feeds. As always, thanks for listening. Diolch am gwrando a gwelwch chi mis Medi, guys. See you in September. See you guys.
Hwyl fawr.
Hwyl fawr.
Bye.
Right, boys.
See you later.